One, two.
Chief Taibos, will you sit down, please?
Ek hoop jy is in die Jabini.
Honorable Douglas.
Ek hoop jy is in die Jabini.
Chief Taibos, would you like me to switch my camera on? Hoe gaan het doen?
It is, but look, I think we, you know, I think we need to prepare. You see, it's in the you must be in trigger mode in the
No, the big thing we're talking is one administration. It is very important to learn.
And the thing is, so the administration no, but like this thing about the constitution, it's been dragging on for months. Yeah.
Like I said to you, we're gonna have to account for that money tax-wise.
Yes, so that presentation.
Looking very good. Thank you.
No, I was asking, I thought he was getting married again.
I'm single. I'm looking for a wife. So this is my sound.
So this is
I told Andy that I'm allowed to verify. I'm allowed to verify.
okay.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. He looks at me when Kulukwan. I said, no, my grandfather's coming from GHC. Or
Okay.
yeah. So these are
Right.
the things from so I'm allowed to marry. I'm a prince there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Andy looks at me and says, all right. Have I look is no, but it doesn't matter. I wanna two people I can change. I don't know. We learn more. I think it's better. I think I'll take it. Yeah. So that's why no man, that's actually taking it. But at the end. So one before you even change. But when
Well, my brother. Good, thank you.
Thank you. How are you? Yeah, both of them. Yeah, I'm running to this. Hey, That's where it's supposed to start.
Sorry, John.
We're sitting here.
Thank you for
Siyaphila kapisi.
Funa manje ba?
Yeah. Minister of what?
Mina. Lutho. Ngihamba nje.
Minister of what? Which department?
Zemvelo. Zemvelo.
Yeah. Okay, I must write a note about it.
Recording in progress.
So.
Recording stopped.
Platform, can you hear me?
And Mario, we can hear you loud and clear.
Platform, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Platform, can you hear me?
Yes, you're still loud and clear, Mario.
Recording in progress.
So what is the total t-shirts now we've delivered? How many? What's the total?
I had to count with what's left. I'll be able to tell with what's left.
Because
It's
we
like
need
the
to,
600 that are sitting there at Gogo's house.
yeah,
Madam Speaker,
There will now be a moment of silent prayer and meditation. May we be seated? Well, next time I will note that the moment needs to be a little bit longer to accommodate members to meditate and pray. Honorable members, the first item on the order paper is question addressed to ministers in cluster 3, which is governance. There are 4 supplementary questions on each question. Order. Parties have given an indication of which questions their members wish to pose a supplementary question. Adequate notice was given to parties for this purpose. This was done to facilitate participation of members who are connecting to the sitting through the virtual platform. Order, honorable members. Order. The members who will pose supplementary questions will be recognized by the presiding officer. Honorable members, the first question has been asked by the Honorable A.N. Kumbaka to the Minister of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation. The question is about process to implement the President's decision to transfer state-owned enterprises to respective ministries and finalize the National State Enterprise Bill. Honorable Minister.
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much. The Proclamation 176 of 2024 was already passed, and as you rightfully said, it was to transfer administration and the powers function of legislation pertaining to state-owned enterprises, which was under the Ministry of Public Enterprise, to line departments that are now responsible. Now, the process is as follows. The transfer of those SOEs has now been done as from the day that the proclamation was actually passed. Now, how we are going to move forward as it relates to making sure that the new bill, the National State-Owned Enterprises Bill, is passed. Well, we have already brought back the bill to be resuscitated in Parliament. It will go through, obviously, the processes of Parliament and would then now be able to ensure that whatever it is that needs to be done is done at that particular time. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable A.N. Kumbaka.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, recognizing that different countries have different shareholder models, what benchmarking was done by the Presidential SOE Council, which resulted in the proposed shareholder model in the National State Enterprise Bill?
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you. The benchmarking process had started a few years back, and China was one of the countries that the council went to, Malaysia as well as Singapore. However, then at the end of the day, it was decided that maybe the best model would be the one of Singapore, also looking at the conditions of South Africa and making sure that we domesticate what the kind of challenges that we have and the developmental and commercial agenda that our SOEs have.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Matias.
Madam Speaker, we welcome the decision to move state-owned enterprises from the former public enterprises to respective different ministries. That will enhance accountability and transparency. However, Honorable Speaker, we want to know what measures are in place that will ensure that accountability and transparency, which was avoided through Pravin Gordhan's era of mismanagement, such accountability is forced even beyond his tenure as a minister. whilst he lies on his sick bed, that he's not left unescaped,
No,
that he must
Honorable-
answer to all administrative and decisions that he made that has cost the country so much, including selling of the SAA.
Your
for
time is
59
up,
rand.
honorable member.
What measures are in place, Honorable Speaker?
We take the question. Honorable members, I will appeal to you on the sensitivities to families and individuals. We might have different of opinions with members, but I think it's important for us to, no. Honorable member, there was a statement made, and I'm just cautioning all of us, because it may be on the other side of the house that such sensitivities are not respected. Honorable Minister, if you can please answer the question on accountability.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Obviously, the state-owned enterprises do come and account to Parliament from time to time through the respective ministries. But what we are going to do from ourselves is that through the holding company, we are establishing a framework where oversight will be played respectively with the making sure that at least the shareholder model that we'll be using will allow cabinet and other institutions that are relevant to receive reports on budgeting, on the shareholder model, as I've already said, the board of directors as well as all the other operational issues that may be necessary for us to really be able to make sure that the oversight role that is needed is played effectively.
Thank you. Honorable T.L. Montana.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. There's no doubt that the Department of Public Enterprises did not inspire any confidence, failing in its key responsibilities on shareholder responsibility and major restructuring initiatives. We are concerned about the protection of the information side of that process. So we want to get assurance that pertinent and key documents, contracts, performance information of the former department, not the future agency, the current disbanded department, will be protected or not misplaced, so that we as members of Parliament can get access to that information and ask the right question and check even the transactions, particularly the SAA transaction. We are quite interested in that, Honorable Minister. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Minister.
Honorable Member, thank you for that question. We are still, the department, as much as it's closed, the Minister of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation still have the executive oversight over it. Is still the executive authority. As a result, we will make sure that we do protect the asset of the state, including the information that is needed so that it can be accessible, because Parliament has got the right to look for whatever information that they need, because as we make sure that you play your oversight role, you should play it with the information that is relevant. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable NLS Nkwangwa. Honorable Nkwangwa, or the representative? Khatib.
Chairperson, the IFP will take this question.
Is that by arrangement?
By arrangement, of course.
Thank
yes.
you.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker.
Order.
Honorable Minister, we can all agree that state-owned enterprises have been a huge drag on South Africa's economic growth rate and public finances. Considering this, Honorable Minister, as Minister new to this department, what oversight methods will your department employ over the implementation of the State Enterprise Bill to ensure that previous mistakes are not repeated? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. As I've already said, the model that we are going to use is going to allow Cabinet to also have an oversight role directly to receive information, so that whatever it is that happens, we must make sure that it is in line with the commercial and developmental role that our SOEs should have. And the oversight that we are going to be playing with the new model that we are going to be putting in place will then now allow Cabinet to receive reports in making sure that at least we do receive reports of how are we going to deal with issues that are of challenge. For example, the issues of how we appoint board of directors. It should be uniform, so that when we then now play our oversight role, we know exactly how to measure performance and ensure that whatever it is that was agreed upon as a plan is actually implemented.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable members, In the question that has just been asked by the IFP, I'm sure you might have noted I spoke to the Secretary of the House to just check what happened on this matter. Because ideally, as we know, within the same party, there would either be a representative who will take up that question. But it does seem that there was a report to the table that UDM is no more taking that question, so that slot was then taken by the IFP. So I just thought it's important for me to clarify. So he was not standing in for the other party. That other party said they are not taking their question. However, we will have to look at where such things happen. Can it just be the matter of parties amongst themselves, or we should have a framework within the rules that allow that? So I just thought I needed to explain that to honorable members. Honorable Ntlangwini.
Thank you very much, House Chair. House Chair, this house is governed by a set of rules.
Yes.
And what have just happened now, and what have seemed to be a tendency of just people just jumping the rules, must never be allowed. If they have had a gentleman's agreement amongst themselves as GNU partners, that's but they must bring it to us and inform us, because we have done our bit as a political party and sent to the table staff which other members can take their questions, so that members in the House can take their questions. This must never be allowed, House Speaker. Thank you.
I've moved from being House Chair to Speaker. Thank you very much, Honorable Ntlangwini. But as indicated, that's why I thought it's important for me to appreciate that indeed there was an anomaly on what is done. And I do think the Rules Committee would need to deal with that matter, so that in future we have got very clear frameworks on how we operate when there is such. I agree it shouldn't happen again. Thank you very much, members, for your understanding. We now move to question 173, which has been asked by Honorable Labaskagner to the Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs. The question is about the determination of the total number of municipalities in South Africa that are currently financially viable. Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much.
When they start, must I call the contact when they start? I don't know.
Responding to this question, there is currently one system used by National Treasury to classify municipalities that are financially viable or financially distressed. In terms of that report, 157 municipalities are classified as financially distressed, which means only 100 municipalities that are financially viable. But COGTA has its own mechanism of classifying municipalities. 61 municipalities are classified as financially viable and not distressed, and 161 are at risk, and only 35 municipalities are classified as financially or dysfunctional or financially distressed. If I can add, Chair, for the benefit of members, there are many factors that contribute to municipalities to be financially unviable. For instance, a poor or no revenue base is a major factor. Secondly, 21 billion rand is owed to municipalities by departments. That is another contributing factor, let alone the money owed by business and households. But the government departments should play a major role in assisting municipalities to be taken out of a dysfunctional or financial status. This will set a good tone to ordinary citizens that the government is paying
the business people are paying, and this will play a major role in assisting our municipalities to be out of financial distress. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Labaskafna.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you very much, Minister, for your honest answer. And given the situation that you spelled out for us, Minister, there's an argument that the funding model of municipalities need to be revisited, and it became a regular feature of debates on various platforms, especially because citizens of dysfunctional and distressed municipalities do not get service delivery as money is not spent where it should be, further escalating the already unbearable high cost of living. Now, the Center of Development and Enterprise proposed that a high-level expert panel or task team should relook the structure and financing of local government. Minister, would you undertake to establish such a team in cooperation with the National Treasury to compile a new financial model for municipalities, considering these various factors that you also mentioned? And if so, please give us some detail about it. Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much for the follow-up question. Indeed, Honorable Chair, the ministry have adopted a theme: every municipality must work. 2 weeks ago, the cabinet established the interministerial team, which is composed of various ministries, including Treasury. On the 30th, we had a meeting with the Minister of Finance, where we identified items that must be done to turn around the financial situation in our municipalities. One of them is a new funding model. We are determined to set up a team out of the engagement in the interministerial team that will look at the funding model, especially the municipalities that cannot be financially sustainable on their own, that the way they are funded should be different from what was been designed further. In that team, Honorable Chair, we will be working with SALCAM, we will be working with the demarcation board, because one other thing that must be done, there must be a revisit to other municipalities, whether it is viable to keep them or redemarcate to make them belong to where they will be financially viable in order to make services reach the people of our country.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Vessels.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, through you, Honorable Speaker, in 2014, the Back to Basics program was implemented by the Department of COGTA. At that stage, according to the department, there was less than 85 municipalities that were not doing well. According to your answer today, there is 196 municipalities that's not doing well. That clearly shows that the Back to Basics program has not succeeded in addressing the challenges on municipal level. There is a Financial and Fiscal Commission report that states that one of the reasons for the state of our local government is the amalgamation of municipalities and the very big municipal units that it created. Would you consider, Minister, to have a revisit and really look at the model of local government and to go and look that municipalities should rather be smaller and more efficient than these large unmanageable units? Thank you, sir.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. The distressed municipality is 157, not 197, Honorable Member. As I said, the team includes SALCAM, the demarcation board. We will have to revisit the modeling of our municipalities, but it is not always correct that a bigger municipality will not be able to function, a smaller municipality will be efficient, and vice versa. The functionality of a municipality at most depends on the political leadership and the administrative leadership. We have metros. Only one metro called Clean Audit. They have every money. So now, bigness is not an issue or smallness. The issue is political leadership and administrative leadership in the municipality that is able to turn things around and come with solutions in terms of how to collect from the citizens and how to spend the money and how to report with the money available. We will definitely revisit the redemarcation of some of municipalities, especially that do not have a revenue base to collect.
Thank you,
Honorable
Minister.
Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honorable Three.
Thank you, Minister. Academics from the universities of the Northwest and Pretoria quote several studies which show that 1% in infrastructure growth is associated with 1% growth in GDP, with only 34 of 257 municipalities or 13% obtaining a clean audit, 6 having adverse findings, 14 having disclaimers with findings, 3 having outstanding audits. The alarm bells should be ringing loudly about the impending collapse of infrastructure and service delivery in the affected municipalities. Now, Minister, what financial recovery plans or FRPs and municipal support and intervention plans or MSIPs are in place to support dysfunctional municipalities? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. As I said, the interministerial team is going to produce a turnaround plan. We have categorized municipalities. The 35 dysfunctional municipalities will be our first focus point, because that is where you have 10 worst performing municipalities in South Africa. And that is where you have municipalities, 12 of them, who got disclaimer. But I do want to emphasize this one, Honorable Speaker. The audit outcome as presented by the Auditor General, yes, on clean audit, there was a drop. But in terms of unqualified and qualified audit outcome, there was improvement. In terms of disclaimer, the previous report, it was 22 municipalities with disclaimer. The latest report was only 12 municipalities with disclaimer. We have looked at this audit outcome report, and we have identified the municipalities where we will zoom in as a first priority. The commitment we made in the cabinet was that after 21 days from 2 weeks ago, we will present a turnaround plan with 3 categories in terms of time frame. First 4 months target, second 6 months target, and the last 12 months target. In these periods, short-term goals, medium-term goals, and long-term goals, we are convinced through collaborative effort with all the ministries in the team, we will turn things around.
Thank
and
you,
also
Minister.
with the cooperation of the municipalities, things will not be the same. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable S. Sali. Honorable S. Sali from Al-Jama. There is no one representing the party, so we will now move. No, Honorable Ghana, no exchange of time. We are now moving to the next question, which is asked to the Minister of Public Service and Administration by Honorable W. Tikana Kotiwe. The question is about progress made in implementing a professionalization framework across 3 spheres of government. and the plan to adopt public service remuneration standards to attract and retain specialized skill through effective reward system. Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Significant strides have been made in this regard by the department, which includes the following. We have issued directives on human resource management and development for professionalization and public service, Volume 1 of 16 February this year, officially taking effect from the 1st of April 2024. This directive is fundamental, Honorable Speaker, in establishing a meritocratic recruitment and selection process that vigorously evaluates candidates based on their competencies, skills, and knowledge. It also stipulates that all national and provincial departments undertake thorough integrity and competence assessment, acquiring pre-entry certificates for entry to senior management, and complete a mandatory technical assessment as an integral selection process. We have also conducted Izimbizo sessions with this targeting senior managers with the provincial sphere of government. These sessions are crucial, Honorable Speaker, in aligning leadership at all levels with professionalization framework principles and addressing specific challenges in provincial context. Also, as department, we have committed to support the continuous implementation of the framework across national and provincial governments through workshops designed to educate and train departmental staff on the new standards and process. Also, we have issued several circulars through the DG that articulate the government's strategic intentions and provide detailed guidance on operationalizing the professionalization framework. Also, Honorable Speaker, the department has, through this initiative, aims through this initiative to foster a culture of excellence and integrity that meets the needs of South African public efficiently and effectively. On the second part of the question, which relates to the training of specific skills, the department is currently in the process of finalizing development of the recruitment of the remuneration policy for public service. This policy is aligned to the need for the state efficiency, effectiveness, and realization of government goals and objectives through appropriate remuneration regime in its various dynamic across the public service, including the organs of state. The remuneration also policy will promote, Honorable Speaker, will promote, direct, and encourage justifiable and effective, efficient, and sustainable remuneration practices that will simultaneously ensure the attraction and recruitment and retention of talent and professional individuals to enhance our productivity as the state. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Follow-up question from Honorable W.T. Kana Ochiwe.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Minister, the organizational culture of public service of Batupile principle is prevalent in many aspects, but we also have public servants who do not practice the Batupile principle. What measures are in place to build a public service that is driven by Batupile principles and innovation to solve problems and provide service as part of transforming our society? Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Member, Honorable Minister.
Thank you so much, Speaker, and thanks for the follow-up. First and foremost, I think we should appreciate the fact that as the department, we view public servants as the heart of the engine of the advancing the development agenda of the state. In terms of the Batupile principle, as we are here now, this is a public service month where we've got a number of interventions and we're visiting different service points where we assess the service delivery by different departments. So as the department, we're making sure that there are a number of things that we need to take into account, including the wellness of all employees to make sure that they live up to the Batupile principle. And we're also saying that it shouldn't be just about the Batupile principle. We must embody these principles and these values as government officials and government employees. But so much has happened within government that needs our attention because the staff morale is low because of a number of reasons. So addressing all these myriad of challenges that employees are facing will be able to inculcate the culture of ethics and culture and a deep sense of duty from all our employees. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable H. Dana.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, Speaker, through you, we've experienced a mass skills exodus in South Africa, especially in our public service. I welcome the fact, let me just say that, that merit-based appointments will be prioritized by the department. But back to the skills exodus, Minister, I'd like to know, does your department have any plans to bring back ex-public servants who was lost to the public service due to things like political pressure and discriminating legislation, amongst others, who have the required skills and expertise and experience to assist with better service delivery and with the professionalization of the public service? And if there aren't any such plans, is this something that your department would consider to assist to bring better service delivery with these required skills and expertise and experience to the people of South Africa? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Speaker. I think when it comes to the issue of skills within the public service, first, one should not lose sight of the fact that we do have public servants with the relevant skills and who are able to deliver on their mandate. I think in the main, we've got a number of programs that seeks to educate, reskill, and also develop the already employed people within the system. So if therefore there are some people who have been lost in the system due to other issues, we will encourage them that when there are such opportunities, there are adverts, there are posts that are there, they should apply and come through that process as opposed to targeting them just like that. But we must emphasize that we do have skills within the public sector. It's all a matter of motivating them and reskilling them to be able to adapt to the modern, what you call modern challenges that they are facing. Thanks.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Honourable Maimane.
Ngiyabonga, Speaker. Honourable Minister, I think it is notable the fact that remuneration is a critical component in attraction of skills to public service. The second component of that, I would argue, is the sense of performance. And therefore, in the light of that particular aspect, Minister, we all note the 21 million rands paid to the two Transnet executives who have just exited. The question fundamentally is that do we curb the practice where at public service, regardless of the state with which the institution has been left under, compensation is done as what is called exit for executives who leave institutions in dire spaces? Is there any way we can curb that practice so that we can ensure that when people leave institutions and are remunerated, that performance is also linked to the same? Or is it just guaranteed? Thank you very much.
Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Speaker. One of our intentions at the department is to make sure that performance and compensation are aligned. So it would be very important that when we address issues of payments to officials, also the issue of performance is also taken into account. Because what you see in the public space, we just compensate employees for the sake of compensating them without taking into account the issue of performance, to an extent that you get people getting performance bonuses, yet their departments and they are underperforming in their work. So that is one thing that we are going to address, to make sure that you get a performance bonus, as it says, because you have performed. And also every remuneration that you get as an employee is on the basis of how you have performed in that particular field.
Thank you, Minister. Honourable F. Adams.
We are covered, Speaker. Thank you.
Okay. All right. We now move to question number 157. Hello? We are moving to question number 157, which has been asked by Honourable Sally to the Minister of Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities. The question is about the various policies and frameworks that are in place to promote inclusive education, employment and business opportunity for persons with disabilities. The Honourable Minister.
Honourable Speaker,
Honorable members, to respond to the part one of the question, on an annual basis, our department monitors the indicators contained in the white paper on the rights of persons with disabilities and produce a report for cabinet approval, and that report is shared with the Department of Basic Education. This information is collected from the Department of Basic Education to track progress, ensure compliance, and promote accountability. Part of the report focuses on the training of teachers in education institutions. Part two of the question, a research report on access to educational support and services for children and young people with disabilities has been finalized and will be submitted to Cabinet for approval. It will also be shared with the Department of Basic Education to guide them in their review of education white paper 2. Additionally, the Department of Basic Education and all other sector departments submit annual implementation plans on mandatory policy framework, including reasonable accommodation, universal design and access plans, and disability rights awareness plans. These departments also participate in the National Disability Rights Machinery to shape the disability agenda in the education sector. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Advocate Sally.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. I'm covered. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Adams.
Thank you, Speaker.
I'm covered. Thank you, Speaker.
Adams is another Adams that order, honorable members. There's another Miss R.C. Adams, who is the one who's doing a follow-up question.
It's not my cousin.
I think your brother didn't know that you were here. Okay, you can take the question.
Thank you so much, Speaker. Statistically, statistical data is critical in the production of data, which informs research and decisions of policy and implementation. What measures is the department taking to ensure diverse, disaggregated data is focusing on persons with disability, with State South Africa, and other research institutions? I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Adams. The department is working closely with Status A on the disaggregation of data focusing on disabilities. I must indicate, Madam Speaker, that data is sitting with various organizations and departments in line with their mandates. But due to our under-resourcing, the centralization of that data is not happening as we would wish to because of our being under-resourced. However, we are working together with State A on various projects that include, we are conducting disability-specific survey that is going to provide reliable data on disability prevalence in the country. But also for purposes of inclusive monitoring, the department advocates with all departments that all data that is captured in terms of programs, it has to cover issues such as beneficiaries,
Honorable Minister, your time is up.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable L.L. van der Merwe.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, to you, Honorable Minister, I think when it's all said and done, the fact of the matter is, despite the frameworks, the good intentions, that we are failing people with disabilities, in particular children. In fact, in rural areas, families will often tell us that if they cannot take their children to school themselves, those children will not have access to education. And so when families can't look after children with disabilities and when schools can't look after them, it's often NGOs that stand in the gap. Yet many NGOs are closing their doors because the Department of Social Development have cut their funding. And so I would like to ask, as the person in charge or the custodian of people with disabilities, their rights, what will you be doing to speak to your counterpart, the Minister of Social Development, to ensure that at least we do not cut the funding of NGOs that look after persons with disabilities? I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Minister.
I think first it is for us to interact with the Department of Basic Education, because indeed they are the ones that are supposed to offer education to our children. And with regards to the education white paper number 6, there were gaps there in terms of resources, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of everything. We're looking at that and we are contributing in the policy that they are reviewing, the very policy that they are reviewing right now. We're also contributing in the legislation that are drafting so that the plight of young disabled children is not just put there for anyone, but they also become part of South Africa and they're taken care of first by government and of course anybody else. We will continue to engage with other government departments, including social development, on such issues. Thank you.
Minister, I think there was the last part of the question relating to funding of NGOs that work on the disability space.
Indeed, the funding of NGOs, Honorable Speaker, is the responsibility of the Department of Social Development. Like we are saying, we will engage them, particularly when it comes to issues related to the education of our young persons with disabilities, but also including government itself to say they too, they should acquire and get education that is fit for purpose in taking into account their disabilities. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable C. Wilscott.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Minister, can you provide specific details on the current funding and resources allocated towards ensuring that the individuals with disability receive adequate education and complete their studies and have equal opportunities in their workforces?
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Struggling to hear her. She's talking to the mic. If she can repeat the question, with your respect.
Okay, thank you. Can you repeat the question, Honorable Wilk?
Apologies for that. Can you hear me better now?
Just come closer to the mic.
Minister, can you provide specific details on the current funding and resources allocated towards ensuring that the individuals with disabilities receive adequate education and complete their studies and have equal opportunities in the workforces?
Honorable Minister.
First of all, the Department of Basic Education adopted a policy that actually advocated for the young people with disabilities joining the mainstream education. That was done. The expectation was that those children and those schools will be resourced in terms of finances, in terms of teachers who are properly trained, and the equipment that is required. However, the issue about the policy is that it was in phases. When the children, it was for immediate, long term and so on. But at the same time, the children were already there and could not therefore wait for the plans that are long term when they are there. And that undermined everything. And that is why we are therefore working together with the Department of Basic Education to say, whether it is in the mainstream education or not, they too should be resourced. If children are provided with scholar transport, they too should be provided with that, but also their training should talk to their needs as individual young people with different disabilities. Indeed, they too should be funded as any other school is being funded if they are in the mainstream education. If, of course, because you still have others that have special schools, those special schools need also to be attended to in terms of infrastructure, in terms of equipment, and in terms of funding. There are some that we also visited, and of course, you're not happy with their status. And that is why we speak to government to say, we have got to to attend to those special schools if they're still there, but even the mainstream schools should be able to accommodate, or else we need to review the policy. We are assisting because we are conducting research in that regard to say why is that policy failed and what is it that needs to be done so that our young people with disabilities do get the education that they deserve.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Now we're going to question number 189, which has been asked by Honorable Z.L. Mkhize to the Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs. The question is about the measures the department will take to ensure local government municipalities allocate sufficient budget for infrastructure maintenance to provide reliable basic services. Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Over the MTEF, we have an allocation of 54 billion rand to make. But for the current financial year, it's 17 billion rand. The department has changed the structure and is going to compel all municipalities to spend 10% of MIC funding towards repairs and maintenance. MISA, which is an agency on behalf of COPTAM, is responsible of monitoring that this allocation is catered in the first place in the budget and is also used for maintenance and repairs. There is no way of dodging this time around because MISA has sufficient expertise in terms of engineers. When a report on a MIC project comes, we also need to get a report as to how 10% of these projects is being spent. And over and above that, Honorable Speaker, in municipalities who are struggling, especially on water and sanitation, we are introducing Schedule Mix 6B, where we intervene on behalf of the municipality to execute projects. One example, Otto Tugela, and the other one, which is a known case, Mfuleni. We are intervening in as far as sanitation is concerned, and we want to ensure that the infrastructure is fully functional and there is enough allocation to maintain it. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Z.L. Mkhize.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker Bulawayo. Thank you very much for your response and your reference to repairs and refurbishment. I think you will agree with me that maintenance is a capability that all the infrastructure-intensive municipalities need to have, particularly when they manage large capital asset bases, and therefore to ensure that they reduce the cost of maintenance as well as create sustainable jobs. Now, I just want to get a sense of how will your department ensure that there are measures in place to ensure that all local municipalities do have their own capability, particularly yellow fleets and mechanical workshops, so that they can manage problems in their locality and go out and render services without the need to have prolonged processes, but just because they've got internal capacity. Thank you very much.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. The department is in favor of the principle of self-help and self-reliance to our municipalities, but it depends on affordability. I know a number of municipalities that have started to procure their own yellow plant, but it all depends on affordability, that if it breaks down, are you going to be able to service it? When we do the revisit of the funding model, that is where we will put more emphasis that municipalities must allocate more money on the yellow plant and mechanical workshop so that they become self-sufficient in terms of ensuring that when they have to do maintenance, they do not rely to service providers who in most cases are far expensive, other than when municipalities own their own property in terms of yellow plant and mechanical workshop. We will work on that one Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Miss S. Frenchman. Honorable S. Frenchman. We now move to Honorable Trollip.
Thank you, Speaker. This is the $64,000 question. I must commend the honourable member who asked it. Municipal infrastructure and the maintenance or lack thereof has proven to be the Achilles heel of service delivery in South Africa. This is most evident in water and wastewater treatment infrastructure, where up to 49% of non-revenue losses of water are simply wasted, compromising people's access to water. When it comes to wastewater treatment, the state of infrastructure is parlous, where most municipalities, district municipalities, and metros discharge raw sewage into our water courses, which compromise our health and our environment. Honourable Minister, you mentioned the MTF budgeted figures and the MRG interventions. Will they cover the need? If not, what is the shortfall and how will the shortfall be addressed? And Minister, be very cautious of an acquisition of yellow fleet, some of our biggest state capture interventions or
Your time is up,
expeditions have been
Honourable
around
Member.
yellow fleet.
Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for the question. Yes, indeed, one takes the caution given by the honorable member on the question of yellow plant. But as I said, a principle of self-help and self-reliance is the best to go. As long as you do it right and you have sufficient abilities to acquire the equipment. In terms of the shortfall, indeed, there is no enough allocation when you look at the backlog in the municipalities, the majority in our country. That is why the question of a funding model should be unanimously supported by all political parties in the 7th administration to ensure that we address critical issues in our municipalities. An example of Mfuleni, a lot of water they owe to the Water Service Authority is the water that is lost due to leakages not being consumed by anybody. So now to relieve the municipalities from the money they owe in relation to water is to ensure that the infrastructure is maintained to the best maximum. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Tring.
Thank you, Speaker. Minister, one of the glaring and obvious failures in the different spheres of government is the failure to invest in infrastructure development and maintenance. The value of municipal infrastructure assets that should be maintained and safeguarded total some 518 billion rand, according to the Auditor General. National Treasury dictates that municipalities should spend at least 8%. You've indicated now 10%, which is positive, that 8%, now 10% of the value of infrastructure assets on repair and maintenance should actually be spent. In the previous financial year, the total spend by municipalities on repairs and maintenance amounted to only 3% of the value of infrastructure assets. Now, Minister, what is the state of infrastructure spend on repairs and maintenance in our municipalities, and what consequence management plans, if any, do you have for political heads who fail to comply with the National Treasury Directive, understanding that a failure to repair and develop our
Honourable Member, your time is up.
tantamount to a commitment to endangering the lives of South Africans? Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The audit report we are referring to is 2021-2022. So there is a great change 2023 to 2024. As we have said, a new approach or model is to enforce 10% in terms of maintenance and repairs. And this is going to be followed through MISA. And definitely, one thing that will be different during the 7th administration, it will firstly be give support. Once you are giving support, you must cooperate. It cannot be support. If you don't cooperate, there will be consequence management. 10% is a rule, and a municipality must demonstrate how they spend 10% on repairs and maintenance. If there is no way to prove that, you only put it on paper, there will be consequence management from now going onward. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. Now we move to question 178, which has been asked by the Honorable K.A. Christie to the Minister in the Presidency. The question is about whether the Minister was informed that budget cuts would impact Statistics South Africa's work on Census 2022. Honorable members, I've been informed that the Deputy Minister will be answering this question on behalf of the Minister, who is out of the country at the moment at the BRICS meeting. Honorable
Thank you very much. Well, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Since the fiscal year 2015-2016, budgetary constraints have begun to impact government finances. Throughout the medium-term expenditure framework process, Stats SA and the Minister have frequently discussed funding limitations with National Treasury. In February 2020, the South African Statistics Council publicly expressed concerns regarding Stats SA funding. Better cooperation and engagement with National Treasury is in place, with multi-bilateral meetings aimed at refining and improving budget management and efficiencies. Despite being conducted in a financially constrained environment, the census was successfully completed at a significantly lower per capita cost. However, it is recognized that financial resources are limited, and for future planning, the organization is exploring new globally benchmarked methods and approaches that will enable the delivery of small area statistics on a more frequent basis. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Minister. Honorable Ms. K.A. Christie.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Is Statistics South Africa planning to mitigate the challenges specified during Census 2022 so that the issues are not repeated and adequate budget is allocated for the census plan for 2031? The Stats SA team reached only 69% of our population during Census 2022. The accepted international standard for a census is a count of at least 95% of our population. We understand that Census 2022 population counts were skewed, particularly at local municipality levels, and this might affect allocations of resources such as vaccines to local clinics. A 10-year national census is the biggest and most complex peacetime operation that any government will run, and it is vital so that we can plan. Thank you.
Honorable Deputy Minister.
Well, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. We agree that the Census 2022 was marked by challenges of its own. You would know that this was supposed to be a month-long census conducted between February and March of 2022. However, it stretched to May 2022 because there was a point when the collection rate was so low that it could not provide meaningful statistics. We have learned a number of lessons from Census 2022, and we are working on modalities to make sure that the next census, which will be conducted probably in 2031, and that the challenges that ensued do not recur. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Gama. S.I. Gama.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Through you, Honorable Speaker, the Statistician General issued a statement last Friday during our deliberations indicating that there's been pervasive challenges, especially coming out of the natural disasters, such as COVID-19, flooding in KZN. And also that in addition to that, there's been funding cuts. Given that we don't know whether in 2031, the budget will be adequate, one wants to understand what efficiency measures are being put in place should the budget cuts continue, so that the capacity of the Statistician General to collect credible and reliable information is not incapacitated, especially in previously disadvantaged communities, such as informal settlements and rural areas. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Honourable Deputy Minister.
Well, Honourable Speaker, we've maintained even in the last administration that budget cuts have got huge implications for the work of Stats SA. You know, Stats SA produces 250 reports annually. These are economic, social, and population statistics. And we've said that budget cuts have got implications in the efficiency of the reports that are produced by Stats SA. That is why there are ensuing discussions on a monthly basis between Treasury and Stats SA to mitigate the recurrence of the occurrences that would have occurred in 2022. And we hope that these discussions will culminate in improved budget management and efficiencies. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Nsangwini.
Thank you very much, Speaker. There have been gradual and consistent cuts, budget cuts for institutions that enhance accountability, research, and aid the developing targets and work in South Africa. Minister, have you met with National Treasury to ensure that there's an aggressive plan to address the budget cuts within Stats SA so that the government can do their work and plan properly for the communities in South Africa at large, and not just work like you throw a dice basis and that is the way you are planning as government? Have there been aggressive planning in terms of ensuring that the money that Stats SA is getting are vis-a-vis putting over in terms of the planning of the country? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Minister.
Well, I don't know, Honourable Speaker, if the discussions that I assume on a monthly basis between National Treasury and Stats SA are aggressive enough, but I hope that they're efficient enough to provide a long-lasting
services. Order, honourable members.
Order.
Let me assist you. Honourable Deputy Minister, if you can come closer to your mic so that you can be heard by members.
Well, I was saying, I'm sorry, Honourable Speaker, I was saying that I don't know whether the discussions that are ensuing between National Treasury and Stats SA are aggressive enough. But I know for a fact that these are discussions that are ensuing. Stats SA is critical in terms of its reporting and its work, especially for planning and decision making. And that is why these discussions are ensuing between National Treasury and Stats SA. And I can guarantee you that these discussions are also ensuing between two ministries, being the Ministry of Treasury and the Ministry in the Presidency. I thank you.
Thank you. Honourable Deputy Minister, if you can try and be closer to your mic. You have been cutting a bit, so members have not been able to hear you very well. Honourable Kalipi, what's the point of order?
The point of order, Speaker, is that you didn't hear anything to our question. And we can't have a crisis whereby the minister is not here. Even the deputy minister is also bringing problems. Please, must be taken serious here.
You are taken serious, Honourable Kalipi. That is why I'm also assisting by asking the deputy minister to come closer to the mic so that one, he can hear you, and secondly, he can be able to answer. Honourable Ghana.
So much Deputy Minister, do you believe yourself, having just been appointed, that Stats SA has got enough money to continue with their work, number one, and also attract and retain the best skills within the entity. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Deputy Minister.
Well, in the first instance, we agreed that there has been, Stats SA has suffered a brain drain with respect to its best statisticians. And we also agreed that there are.
Sorry, what's the point of order, honourable member?
Chair, we got a perfect, we got another minister from the Office of the Presidency that's sitting right here that can probably be audible. Can she not speak on behalf of the other minister, please?
Chairperson, am I not audible enough?
Honourable Deputy Minister, you are not audible. Order.
Am I audible enough now?
Order, Honourable Deputy Minister. Order, honourable members. Honourable members, given the difficulties on this question, I would request that this question be placed again on the order paper in the next question time. I think that's the best we can do. And if we can now be in order. What's the point of order, honourable member?
No, I'm just saying, Speaker, all of us were frustrated by that, honourable member. And it goes back to the point that we've been making as the EFF that we need all members to be in the same house. Where is the dome? This is a typical example of
Honourable.
what. No, Speaker, let me finish, please. Right now, Speaker, this parliament, all of us here, the rating is that 29% of South Africans have got confidence in this parliament. 29. So 100 people are walking by. Only 29 people believe in this parliament. And it's such issues that we raise with you all the time that we need to be taken. No one takes us serious, Speaker. This should be a worrisome for all of us as members of parliament that we're here to represent our people who don't have confidence in us. Now, the deputy minister knew very well that the minister will not be in the country. Why is he not here? He's sitting there, he's sitting in the toilet. That's why there's so much echo.
Honourable member.
Speaker.
Order, honourable members. Order, honourable members. I do not want to entertain the debate on this matter. Honourable members, can you please put your hand down? I thought the point of order would have been different because already I've made the ruling that this question will come back. So that closes the debate on the matter. I've noted the issues you have raised. Those will be communicated with the leader of government business. And it's not like nobody is taking you seriously, but I've just ruled as a speaker to protect all of us, but to ensure that the question is attended to. It will come back on the order paper and it will be prioritized because it was supposed to have been answered today. Can we move to question 192, which has been asked by Honorable S.G. Mwali to the Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs. The question is about specific intervention measures that the department will take to prevent the potential termination of the jobs of 51,000 community work program workers. Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Firstly, the figure is not 51,000. It's 35,092. No, it's not the same. Secondly, Honorable Speaker, the people who are involved here are people who are at the age and are receiving pension. But we have decided to stop the process of offloading them so that we engage them. Because the eventuality cannot be avoided. We all know, once you reach 60 or 65, you have to go to pension. But the approach, what we are going to do, we are working on a new policy that will be concluded by 1 April 2025. We're going to engage these people who have reached the age of pension and see how they can be capacitated, that they can start their own business in order to cover the gap of the money they're no longer going to receive as CWP together with the pension. It is work in progress, and by the time we reach end of April next year, we will have a better solution in allaying their fears of going to be affected negatively when these stipends come to an end if they are being offloaded. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Mwali.
Angibonge Somlomo, considering the already dire state of unemployment in Republic, where millions of South Africans struggle to make ends meet, what specific intervention measures will his department take to A, prevent the potential termination of the jobs, 51 or 35,000, community work program workers that will have devastating consequences, and B, ensure that the affected workers will not be left destitute and without any source of income. Ngiyabonga Somlomo.
Ngiyabonga Lunga ehloniphekile, Ngqongqoshe.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. The correct figure is 35,000 because it's on record. Secondly, Honorable Speaker, we agree it will affect the citizens who have reached the pension stage. But this is in the eventuality that cannot be avoided. That is why we've decided to stop the offloading from now to April. We will be doing more to capacitate them on small business initiatives they can start when the system takes them out, and it will be absorbing young people, the millions that are being unemployed. They can speak a different language. If we say they cannot be enrolled in this process because
Honorable Member,
people.
Honorable Member Mwali, you asked a question. Can I ask you to listen to your answer?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I think, but I have concluded my response, Honorable Member, that we really sympathize with our senior citizens. That is why we have halted the process. But the eventuality is we need to enroll young people who are unemployed as we speak, while we create means for our senior citizens to survive once they exit the program. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Ndamase.
Honorable Speaker, I would first like to join Honorable Bosch in his profuse word of gratitude to the Ministry of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs for their intervention on the subject at hand as latest as 3 hours ago in the Portfolio Committee meeting. We would therefore like to ask the Honorable Minister to enunciate on their transitional cushioning of CWP participants to be ready for other future economic participation activities other than the ones that has already been mentioned. Thank you very much.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. The new policy that will be ready by April next year, it will come with a new approach and new framework to ensure that especially our young people, once they are enrolled in the CWP program, we must ensure that they get skills and they exit and go and survive on their own. We will be working with different public and private partners to ensure that we identify skills that will make them self-sufficient, even to start businesses on their own and channel them to areas where they can get the financial support to start their own business or get employed with the skills they acquire through the program, not to stay forever until they reach the age of pension. The new policy, Honorable Speaker, will come with a definite answer in how are we going to ensure that the participants in a short period of time get skills, they exit, they get the employment opportunities to support their lives better. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Abaskafna.
Thank you, Chair. Minister, in the light of the department's expenditure of approximately 3 billion in the previous 5 years on implementing agents of third parties and the country's financial shortfalls, does the department have a plan, or could you include that in the new policy that you mentioned, to centrally administer the community work program without implementing agents to save costs and jobs and mitigate irregular and wasteful expenditure contributing to possible job losses? And if so, could you please give us some detail about it? Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Definitely, Honorable Speaker, the new policy will determine the approach of doing away with service providers and the process to be managed in-house. It will save more money and it will make more money contribute in taking more of our people who are unemployed. I would appeal if our members can be patient for a policy that will take a new direction in how we spend this money prudently and save it for the better use in increasing the number of the enrolled participants. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Mkalipi.
Thank you, Speaker. It's Honorable Dlamini.
Honorable Dlamini, thank you very much. Honorable Mkalipi did not advise the table as Honorable Dlamini had indicated earlier. Thank you very much, Honorable Dlamini.
Thank you, Speaker. Minister, as the EFF, we don't agree with people losing their jobs as a base first. So no matter the technicalities of the number, whether it's 35,000 or 51, as long as people are losing jobs, that's where the crux of the matter is. But considering that some of the functions done by CWP workers is also linked to NPOs, how much is the department paying the non-profit organizations who do similar work? Why have you not considered doing away with having NPOs as the middleman and employ workers and insource them rather? Because jobs also come with the quality of the jobs that you are providing. Why not insource? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
I'm not sure. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I agree with the EFF. It is not good. Oh,
thank you, Honorable Minister. If you can proceed.
Saying, Honorable Speaker, we agree with the EFF. For anyone to lose a job is not something good, but there is truth that we must face. When people reach a stage of being pensioners, we must face that reality to create the space to absorb younger people. That is why we are saying we want to make a plan for people who are already receiving pension so that they exit with something that is going to supplement, because it will affect them negatively. But the eventuality is a pension age is pension age. Then lastly, no, my age, I'm 59 years. Yes. Lastly, I have responded, honorable member, to the question of what other mechanism are you doing to do away with service providers? The new policy, the whole system is going to be managed in-house, and it will save a lot of money for the government. Yeah, no, my age is not hidden.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. The next question, question number 119, has been asked by the Honorable T.M. Chauke to the Minister of Women, Youth and People with Disabilities. The question is about the department's plan to encourage social partners to create job opportunities for unemployed youth, women, and people with disability. The Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, House Chairperson. Honorable members, the President drew our attention to the fact that youth unemployment has now reached the level of a national crisis that demands urgent, innovative, and coordinated solutions. In response, we are placing women, youth, and persons with disabilities at the center of a reindustrialization that is accompanied by a reimagined industrial strategy with fundamental changes in the structure, systems, and institutions, as well as patterns in ownership, management, and control of the world producing resources. In this regard, we believe that the developmental state must take up the role of an investor of first resort. We are bringing back this approach through a South African National Defence Force-led National Youth Service through the South African National Youth Institute, known as SANSI. Other initiatives for implementation include a reimagined NYDA that is fit for purpose and representative of all youth. Also, we're bringing back, in fact, we're also considering emerging industrialist accelerator programs for women, youth, and persons with disabilities intended to upskill, reskill, and place unemployed graduates. And also the integrated farming cooperatives and land acquisition for women, youth, and persons with disabilities. We will further explore opportunities in sectors such as agriculture, oceans economy, mining, tourism, as well as others. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The first supplementary question will be asked by Honorable Chauke.
Thank you so much, Chairperson. I think for me to the Minister, we must understand that in order for us to have control of the economy, we must be able to create economic opportunities for the unemployed, focusing on women, youth, and persons with disabilities being previously disadvantaged. We also look at the financial sector that must create access to economic opportunities through financing and providing business opportunities to persons with disabilities. Now, Minister, in the 7th administration, what are your plans in ensuring that the financial industry or financial sector looks to transform itself in order to create employment and economic opportunities for women, youth, and persons with disabilities in order for us to see them thrive and contribute towards the economy? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chauke. To ensure the transformation of the financial sector in a manner that supports marginalized groups, our department is collaborating with the Cooperative Banks Development Agency. Is also coordinating efforts to establish a cooperative financial institute working together with CPDA. The aim is to promote entrepreneurship through women-led cooperatives and enhance financial inclusion within the bank sector.
The CFI is currently in the process of being registered with the Prudential Authority. Additionally, the NYDA is working with the National Treasury and the Financial Sector Transformation Council to deepen financial inclusion for young people by improving savings through a low-value savings scheme and encouraging the appropriate use of credits, as well as promote access to credit for youth-owned SMMEs. Also, the Department of Small Business Development, it is finalizing an important policy on SMMEs and cooperatives funding policy that aims to ensure access to funding by SMMEs as well as cooperatives. And this policy will definitely benefit the sectors we are representing, that is women, youth, and persons with disabilities. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The second supplementary question will be asked by the Honorable E.R. J. Spies.
Thank you, House Chair. Honorable Minister, how will your department facilitate collaboration and coordination among social partners, including government agencies, businesses, and civil society organizations to create work opportunities in rural areas for women, youth, and persons with disabilities, where limited resources and capacity often hinder collective efforts? What strategies will your department implement to foster rural-urban linkages, enabling rural communities to benefit from economic growth and opportunities in urban areas and address the brain drain of skilled youth leaving rural areas? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much for the question. As a department, we have a mandate to advocate, to streamline, to monitor, as well as to evaluate. We will use our mandate to ensure that women and young people, persons with disabilities in rural areas, they too are empowered. We'll use legislation such as, for instance, the Public Procurement Act, which was passed and signed by the President. That includes the preferential procurement for the vulnerable sectors. And this will also apply in rural areas and as well as in urban areas. Like we have said, as we identify the sectors, they also are going to benefit young people who will work together with other departments, for instance, the department that is responsible for rural development, agriculture, for instance, oceans economy, to ensure that young people, as well as persons with disabilities in the rural areas, they also benefit. So yes, our policy will apply to everybody, including in rural areas, and of course, ensuring that whatever policy that is there that benefits them is implemented through our monitoring and streamlining. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The third supplementary question will be asked by Honorable J.S. Peterson.
Thank you, House Chair. Thank you for the answer on strategies of programs to assist Honorable Minister. Could the Minister explain how will the department ensure the effectiveness of these strategies that the Minister mentioned will be monitored and adjusted over time? Additionally, what measures are being taken to ensure that these opportunities are accessible and equitable? Thank you, Chair.
The Honorable Minister.
Our approach will be based on research. In whatever that we do, whether the policies that are being implemented are effective or not effective, we will from time to time conduct research and will share information with whoever that is available. That's the first one. But it is indeed our mandate to streamline and therefore influence decisions that get taken, whether they are policies, whether they're strat plans, whether they are anything, we'll do that effectively, but also to advocate. And our advocate will either be through what we say, but also in action on other matters. Also to monitor, it is our mandate to monitor the implementation of some of the policies, some of the legislations that are there to empower our people, particularly our young people, and to evaluate and give reports. When necessary, we'll name and shame if people are not responding and are not doing what they're supposed to do. But of course, we'll be doing our work. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The last supplementary question will be asked by Honorable N.L. Webster.
Thank you, House Chair. Minister, I want to speak specifically to the issue of youth and to zoning on youth. We recently had the jobs figures come out from Stats SA for Q2, which showed that we are not moving the needle on youth unemployment. In fact, now 3 in 5 young people between the ages of 15 and 24 are unemployed. And we know the social impact of youth unemployment. We know what it's like to walk the streets in any township and rural area and see young people who are not working. We know what it is doing to these young people in terms of their hope for a future in this country. But also, what is worse is that actually we compromise the future in this country when these young people are not gaining skills, who are not gaining experience. My question is, how are you working with other departments in making sure that the programs that are there have a target? What is the target? What is the target for the number of young people that we want to see employed at the end of this term through these programs? And what is your department going to do to make sure that there is accountability for those numbers and we start to see the
Honorable
numbers
Webster,
change?
your time has expired. The Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much. First, ourselves as the department, like I have said, we're actually establishing a SANSI. And we are saying that nation, in fact, it is National Youth Service, will be led by the South African National Defence Force. And we are planning just out of that to employ at least 125,000. I'm just talking about ourselves, 125,000. And we believe that this can be done because in other parts of the world, National Youth Service is in any event led by the defense. In South Africa here, some of our best pilots were trained by defense. So that is where we're going to start. But of course, we're looking at all infrastructure projects. We're looking at all economic sectors that they have got to implement what is in their, in fact, we're looking even at their APPs to say they've got, if we've got the preferential procurement, for instance, we're going to monitor that happens for all infrastructure projects, mega and small. And those, they must favor young people, particularly those, the 3.6 million that is out of universities, but also have completed their matrics and they are not anywhere employed. We will ensure that we target those first and of course others in ensuring that they go to work, those that can go to work, because it's not everybody who can be an entrepreneur, and those that can be entrepreneur, we're going to assist them. And that is why we are saying we are reimagining even a new NYDA, an NYDA that has resources, and NYDA that can do better work, that can, that can actually research and be able to plan and see what is going to happen in the sector. So yes, it's a lot of things. The challenge is huge, but we think we can do something about it. The numbers, of course, we have to get that from different departments to say this is what they can do. Ours is to monitor that it is done. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We are now moving to question number 163. Has been asked by Honorable N.V. Mentenkuna to the Minister of Public Service and Administration. The question is about the progress made on implementing a recommendation to create a single register which seeks to publish and or record names of persons who were removed from government due to corruption and resigned from government due to corruption. The Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, House Chair. The department has indeed made some progress in relation to recommendation of SIU. We have developed a central register for public service, and in April this year, a task team was formed to develop solutions to publish or record names of all persons who were removed or resigned due to corruption. This team comprised of the Department of Public Service Administration, Treasury, COGTA, and the then Department of Public Enterprise through a state capture committee program management in the presidency. This system, House Chair, allows for identity number to be merged with the record of the dismissed or resigned person. The department also, or departments rather now, should verify whether an applicant is listed on the same register as a result of them resigning or being dismissed because of corrupt activities. Honorable Chair, it's also important to note that the same register now is going to be used to develop one that also includes local municipalities also. All shortlisted people in this register will be verified against the all shortlisted candidates, rather, when they apply, they will be checked against this register. Even those that decide to resign and apply to another department, when we pick this up, they will have to go back and finalize those what you call disciplinary hearings if they decided to run away. So the proper records should be kept by departments, and all disciplinary cases must be recorded accordingly, and compliance will be monitored timeously. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. The first supplementary question was supposed to be asked by Honorable Mente, but it will be taken by Honorable P. Diali.
Thank you very much, House Chair. Minister, the nub of the matter is that corruption is thriving on the basis that the same people continue to be recycled in different spheres of departments of government, even when their removal or resignation from previous government job is as a result of corruption. What mechanisms have you put in place to ensure that those who leave their jobs as a result of allegations of corruption are unable to be recycled back into government unless their names have been cleared? Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, House Chair. I think the register itself that we have established speaks to the same issue that the honorable member is saying, that these people be listed there. And when they apply before they are appointed, they must be checked against that register. If they are found to be on the list, then no ways that they will be appointed. Even if, as I said, that if there are some pending cases against them, they will have to go back and finalize those cases. So there is no room for corrupt people now going forward.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The second supplementary question will be asked by Honorable MJ Matutu.
Oh, thank you, Speaker. Honorable Minister, it is generally accepted that our legal system allows for decisions and even judgment for laws, courts, to sometimes being revealed and returned appeals to high courts. Furthermore, it is now almost a common case that our courts can or have in some instances been weaponized for politically expediencies.
Honorable members, sorry, Honorable Matutu, please, honorable members, no. Can we allow a member to ask a question so that we can get a response from the minister? How are we supposed to hear the question? And the minister will then not be able to respond to the question if he doesn't hear clearly what the honorable member is saying. Can we allow that chance, please? Continue, honorable member.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Furthermore, it is now almost common cases that our courts can or have in some instances being weaponized for political.
Honorable Matutu, unfortunately, no, we stopped the time. So your time has expired and I gave you even extra 8 seconds, but unfortunately your time has expired. I will give an opportunity to the minister. If he has heard maybe some of what the question is all about, then maybe he can respond to the question that has been posed. The Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, House Chair. I think to respond to what the member is saying, I'm not aware of any case where our law enforcement agents have been used have been weaponized against politicians. But also what I know is the fact that some politicians who are corrupt have tried to use the very same system to run away from accountability and like that. So if there is anything of that nature that he's aware of, he can make us aware. But from where we stand, there is no such.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The third supplementary question will be asked by Honorable Letlape.
Thank you, Chair. To the Minister, sadly, extortion is endemic in our country, in our society, in all sectors and at all levels. And extortion is an art form that is a subset and a variant of corruption. Now, my question, Minister, is that we have a lot of people that are extorting funds from public service through prolonged suspensions or indefinite suspensions. What are the minister's plan to curb this debilitating cancer in our government?
The Honorable Minister.
I think the question from the honourable member has nothing to do with the question that was posed. But however, yes, however, we'll try to respond to him in relation to what is within my jurisdiction. In relation to those people who have been suspended and they continue to draw salaries from the state, there are a number of interventions we've done as a department. First and foremost, we are trying to encourage managers not to actually put people in suspension, where they transfer them to other departments so that they can continuously use their skills to help the state as opposed to sitting at home and draw salaries. Because the issue of people who are being suspended and they stay at home continuously is a challenge that we are trying to deal with as a department. That is one among many that I can favor you outside this platform, because your question was not, in fact, what you asked. Thank you.
Thank you.
I accept the
Honourable Minister.
invitation.
The last supplementary question will be asked by Honorable Swart.
Thank you, House Chair. House Chair, the ACDP believes that such a register is a very positive development, and we commend the department in this regard. However, Minister, during your response, you indicated that departments would have to consult that register before they employ any employees in their specific departments. Now, what steps would the department take to ensure that those departments actually do consult the register before they employ employees? Because otherwise the register itself will not be effective. And will there be sanctions against those departments that do not abide by the register? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, House Chair. The register will be held within the Department of Public Service and Administration. So we are going to make sure that, as I said, that proper records must be kept, and we are going to continuously monitor that. That is one way that we are trying to assist the whole process. But also, if there are those who will, regardless of the register being there and all the red flags that may be flagged against those individuals, they continue to employ them. Of course, then accountability should kick in. And we're closing every room for people who are colluding in as far as corruption is concerned. But also, House Chair, I think we must begin to move away now from chasing criminals. Our system should not actually attract corrupt people and unethical people within the system. Because public service, if we choose to serve in the public space, that's a noble cause that we must respect and need to be ethical. So we must try to put some mechanisms to repel such people whom we don't need in our system.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The next question, question number 184, has been asked by the Honorable L.L. van der Merwe to the Minister of Women, Youth and People with Disabilities. The question is about the practical actions the department will take to address gender-based violence and femicide following the Minister's declaration of it as a national crisis. The Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable House Chair. Gender-based violence and femicide is a national crisis affecting all sectors of South African society, worsened by teenage pregnancy, gender inequality, and HIV and AIDS. Further structural poverty, hunger, and unemployment disproportionately impact women. The department monitors the implementation of the National Strategic Plan on Gender-Based Violence, noting some successes but recognizing the need for more action. Current efforts focus on treating gender-based violence as a pandemic, with a bold integrated response to strengthening institutional arrangements. The gender-based violence and femicide evidence-based and anti-poverty strategies through preferential procurement. And key priorities include the establishment of National Council on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide, implementing a 365-day communication plan to reach various households, analyzing gaps in the NSP on gender-based violence to enhance accountability, scaling up evidence-based intervention. Lastly, improving NSP localization by appointing technical monitors and data collectors in all provinces to enhance coordination, reporting, and department's provincial presence. I thank you, National Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The first supplementary question will be asked by the Honorable van der Merwe.
Thank you very much, House Chairperson. Honourable Minister, I thank you very much for your response and in particular for the honesty to say that there are gaps and things that need to be addressed. However, the Public Protector recently released a report and she looked at government's response to gender-based violence. And she found in particular that police, social development and justice are failing victims of gender-based violence. For example, she found that police were reluctant to open cases and we don't have enough shelters for victims of gender-based violence. And there's a whole report that she released. You just recently mentioned how you work with other departments. You also talked about naming and shaming departments who do not play their part in empowering and protecting women, children, and persons with disabilities. Can you give this House the undertaking that you will ensure with your department that you engage these departments to ensure that they implement the remedial findings of the Public Protector report? Because I think it goes without saying, we cannot talk about a whole government approach, a whole society approach against gender-based violence when some government departments are not playing their part. Thank you, Minister.
The Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the question, Honorable van der Merwe. First of all, we have agreed that we're going to collaborate with the Public Protector as we do our work. As a matter of fact, the report that you're talking about, we have met with the Public Protector. We have shared information, shared this information with ourselves, and therefore we've got the report. We are therefore, on the basis of the report, looking at the departments that are mentioned there to engage with them. First, as you have said, to say when the people go to police stations, particularly those who are victims of gender-based violence, that the statements cannot be taken at the center, community centers. They've got at all times to have provide private privacy for those people, but also that those cases must be followed up. The problem that also was identified by the Public Protector is that sometimes even if the police are doing their work, those victims, they then withdraw cases with the pressures that they receive from their families, particularly those that are children. And that is why we are going to ensure that we advocate for those, but we're going to look at issues where, for instance, in a case of rape of a child, where families can and parents can withdraw such cases to say, is it not possible? In fact, to ensure that the legislation is implemented, that such cases become state cases and no one can actually withdraw them. We refer to those taking into account the number of young children that are giving birth to children at the age of 10, at the age of 14 as being minors. So we are attending to all those issues because they are in the report. And we have ensured that this gets attended to at the level of the ministry, myself and the deputy minister, to ensure that these things do not go unnoticed. So yes, we will be monitoring, we'll be working, following up on departments, we will be engaging them. Of course, we need budget for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The second supplementary question will be asked by Honorable Gasa.
Thank you, Chairperson. Most studies confirm that majority of GBV cases in rural areas are not reported because of poor GBV awarenesses in rural areas. The recently widely reported racist GBV incident where 2 women were murdered and their remains were fed to pigs in Limpopo. Is this in a point about the gravity of this problem in rural and farming communities? Minister, I want to check what is the ministry's approach to GBV in rural and farming communities. Thank you.
The Honorable Minister.
Our approach is first to prevent it from happening, because we don't want somebody to be raped and then we come. We don't want a person to be killed and thrown into pigsty and then we come. We want to prevent it. But also where it has happened, we want to identify it as quickly as possible so that we can then intervene. Oh, okay. So that we can then intervene. But also, we want to ensure that where it has happened, the matter goes to court. For instance, the issue that you're talking about, I think it is important that we really commend the police, the NPA and the judiciary as such, because this case was opened immediately. And the perpetrators of those who murdered 2 women in the Limpopo, they were actually arrested and in fact, they were arrested. They are in custody as we speak. And they are charged with 2 counts of murder, 1 count of attempted murder, as well as possession, illegal possession of firearms, illegal possession of ammunition, and defeating the ends of justice. And the NPA has actually categorized that case as a Schedule 6, and it is actually removing it from a magistrate court to a regional court. We welcome that, but we would have wished that those women were not killed. We would have wished that we prevented it. So yes, the issue of people and women in the farm areas in particular is of concern to us, because they are far from all resources and amenities. And sometimes their cases are not attended to, because as they rush to report the case, the farmer also rush to report the case and report them as having been stealing in their farms. So it's a matter that is receiving our attention in terms of poverty
Honourable
that is
Minister.
actually making some of them to do
Unfortunately,
things. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The third supplementary question will be asked by Honorable Kanyile.
Thank you, Chairperson. Honorable Minister, thank you very much for your answer. In the recent Bill RRR report presented by your department, it reflected that only 5 million was allocated to this department to fight gender-based violence, and a total of 3.7 million rands is allocated to pay salaries. Noting that majority of the budget is allocated for the payment of salaries, in one of your responses today, you have indicated that you will need more budget to be able to fight gender-based violence. Now the question is, what is your plan to acquire more budget to ensure that kidnapped or missing women are found before they are killed and more women are empowered to leave abusive relationships before they die? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister.
No, thank you very much. It is a known fact, because the budget for the department is passed by this House. It is a known fact that the Department of Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities is under-resourced. And it is also a known fact that even for us to deal with this, we only have 5 million rand. And the 3.3 goes for salaries, because you need people to fight it. And therefore you remain with 1.3 or 1.7 million rand. And that can never be enough and be adequate for us to do our work in terms of researching, in terms of preventing, in terms of advocating, in terms of mainstreaming. We don't have, but we use other resources in order to do this.
Honorable
And that is
members,
why-
Honorable Minister, please. Honorable members, can we please keep it down? Because now the minister is responding and other honorable members cannot even hear. I myself seated here, I can't even hear what the minister is saying, because the way you are speaking is too loud. Please, can we keep it down? Over to you, Honorable Minister.
We therefore are using other resources. We have, for instance, in the presidency, the presidents that in the section that you looks into gender-based violence. So we work together with them. We collaborate for also with the CGE on the work that they are doing, but also the civil society out there on the work that we are doing. But it is true that for us to be effective and to do our work, to ensure that we're able to prevent, to be where these things are happening, we do require more budget. And for now, we don't have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The last supplementary question will be asked by Honorable Ghana.
I can some so much too. So all of the yesterday, the Minister of Police said that 1,400 cases of rape have been dropped due to insufficient evidence in the last financial year. As a Minister of Women, Children, and People with Disabilities, what are you going to do about that? I can some so much too.
Honorable Minister.
Asked about what could be the cause. For one, it's important to know as to why those cases are being dropped. Is it because there is no evidence? Is it because those that report cases withdraw them? Is it because, for instance, of the the DNA results that do not come back on time, or that stay in police stations until they become rotten, therefore they cannot give us results? For us, we will engage the minister to actually find out as to why these cases are being withdrawn. Surely it is concerning because somebody is raped. If there's one thing that should not happen to any woman, is somebody to enforce himself into her body. And if that happens, that person must face the full might of the law. If those cases get withdrawn, then of course it concerns us as a matter of fact. But for us to comment, and you are saying it was only yesterday, we need to know exactly as to what are the reasons for the withdrawal of those cases. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. That was the last supplementary question. Now we are going to question number 191, has been asked by the Honorable DR Direko to the Minister of Corporate Governance and Traditional Affairs. The question is about the required interventions to increase revenue generation in local government. The Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, House Chair. The ministry is going to ensure that all municipalities institutionalize the efficient credit control and debt collection procedures. The municipalities that are financially viable are municipalities that are able to collect from people who owe them. Secondly, we will ensure that every municipality produces its own indigent register so that they know who is exempted in terms of paying what he receives from the municipality as services and those who are due for payment. Thirdly, the cabinet committee yesterday approved that the Minister of COGTA must write letters to all departments. They owe 21 billion to municipalities. I will write letters to all of them. We'll give them a period, not more than 4 months to pay. And if they don't pay, I will visit the Minister of Finance to institute a way to tap in the money of those municipalities who owe the municipalities, the departments who owe municipalities but not paying the municipalities. Thirdly, the government, once it has set a toll that pay for what you owe, the second category will be the business people. You will engage business people. Yes, you need to engage first. Okay. We will engage first to make them see a need, as we are doing to departments. The letter will be engagement. And if nothing happens, and then there will be enforcement, we will have to engage the business people that if they want to see their businesses growing and thriving, they must do what is honorable, pay what is due from them, and thereafter engage the ordinary household to pay what is due to municipalities. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Before I call on the first supplementary questions, I have asked honorable members, please, we can converse in the house, but let us keep it down. Because now we can't hear the responses, and it will be us again who will be complaining that ministers are not giving quality responses, where else it is us also who are making the lot of noise and not hearing the responses that are given. I will then ask the first supplementary question will be asked by Honorable Direko.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Minister, for your responses. The recent Auditor General report on the local government for the financial year of 2022-2023 has reflected challenges of weaknesses in financial control, which resulted to the weakness in effective revenue management and asset management. So as the department, what measures do you have in place to ensure that there are consequence management on non-compliance to strengthen the financial systems in the spheres of government? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair. As I said in the beginning, the 7th administration is the time that is not going to tolerate people who are not doing their work. Consequence management is going to be the order of the day. The municipalities which were singled out by the Auditor General, we will want them to account. How have they rectified the areas that were indicated by the Auditor General? Where criminal cases should have been opened, they must bring evidence that indeed here a criminal case was opened. Where disciplinary actions must be taken against the employees, they must demonstrate that here is an action taken as a consequence management. The 7th administration, the approach is give support, people must cooperate, and they must produce results. If you don't produce results, there will be no time to allow things to go as they have been in the past. Thank you, Honorable House Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The second supplementary question will be asked by Honorable Fanzil.
Thank you, House Chair. Thank you, Minister. Minister, local governments across 8 South African provinces are broken, largely due to a dire financial crunch. Revenue generation is hampered by the fear of possibly upsetting voters to enforce debt collection, rampant illegal connections, persistent water and electricity losses, and corruption. Just yesterday, Salga revealed that a mere 9.5% of the equitable share gets allocated to local government. In the municipality where I live, which is the Walter Sisulu local municipality, ratepayers are hit with shocking increases, up to 500% more due to recent property valuations. Minister, would you agree that loading more financial strain on taxpayers is not the solution to correct revenue? Minister, will you also commit to initiating legislation that ring-fences a portion of incomes for service rendered to repay debt first, like to Eskom and the water boards, to ensure that local government can work and deliver services to its residents? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Indeed, Honorable House Chair, the turnaround plan will address these critical issues to assist the municipalities who are unable or failing to deliver services to our people. And as I said, it is a broad committee, including a number of ministries.
Honorable Davids, please mute your mic.
We are open, Honorable House Chair, to suggestions in how to turn things around and make services efficient in our municipalities. The turnaround plan, when it is tabled, it will address all these critical issues. Thank you, Honorable House Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The third supplementary question will be asked by Honorable Taiboj.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Minister, it is recorded that 48% of all water supplied to municipalities are lost due to leaks caused by poorly maintained and inadequate infrastructure. Has the Honorable Minister, in an effort to increase revenue for municipalities, considered the lessons from the War on Leaks project by the Department of Water and Sanitation in conjunction with Rainwater instead of the silo approach? If not, why not? And if so, please share the details and insights. Thank you.
The Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair. The Interministerial Committee includes water and sanitation. Once the strategy is completed and presented, it will give details on how to deal with leakages. As I said in the beginning, a lot of money that is owed by municipality to water boards is water that is lost, not consumed by anybody. COGTA, that is why we are intervening through MISA. I made a practical example, which is known by all of us or most of us, Mfuleni. A bigger portion of money that is owed by Mfuleni to water board is through leakages, water not consumed by anybody. That is what we want to address and fix it. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The last supplementary question will be asked by Honorable Mkalipi.
Thank you very much, House Chair. Minister, I'm very shocked that you are prepared to engage big business instead of demanding money. That is very shocking. However, what is your intervention in regards to eThekwini residents who were just finished with high bill cost after they have complied with the law and paid for their bills? And nothing that was explained to them, all of a sudden they're just being shocked to get those bills. And the explanation was that the billing system of eThekwini is also characterized by incompetency. Secondly, the AG pointed out to them that they have been not collecting enough, but while each resident were paying. So now my question, what intervention are you going to do? Because I think it's a wrong decision to punish people while they've been paying. Whether the AG said to municipality have been doing wrong things, so why punish the residents under these difficult conditions?
The Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mkalipi. With regards to eThekwini, we are engaged with eThekwini in relation to the matter you are raising. The eThekwini Presidential Intervention Team and Section 154 by KwaZulu-Natal Provincial Government, we are in constant discussions in dealing specifically with the incorrect billing. If this is concluded, people will be billed accordingly, and I commit on that one. You know, Honorable Mkalipi, I made a commitment on one matter in eThekwini, and you are my witness, we resolved it. Even this one, I make a similar commitment. Thank you. No, they can only stop paying once it has been concluded, it was wrongly done, and then a correction will have to be effected. We are gonna be working with a great speed because it is unfair if it can be proven it is wrongly done. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Question number 200 has been asked by the Honorable N.L. Webster to the Minister of Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities. The question is about the specific measures the department has implemented to assist the Commission for Gender Equality in influencing the national gender policy. The Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable House Chair. Honorable members, as the Department of Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities, we do not monitor the Commission for Gender Equality. We collaborate and learn from each other's experiences. We recognize the CGE as an independent statutory body established under Chapter 9 of the Constitution with a crucial mandate to strengthen and deepen our constitutional democracy by promoting, protecting, developing, and attaining gender equality. And the entity, in fact, the Commission is accountable to the National Assembly. Of course, we visited their offices and were truly inspired by the number and quality of their research studies and the wealth of knowledge that the Commission continues to produce. This guides our policies as well as our practices towards a society that is free from gender inequality and all intersectional forms of oppression. Their work provides a number of recommendations which we as a department will be converting into collaborative interventions on the ground. I thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The first supplementary question will be asked by Honorable Webster.
Thank you very much, Minister. And it's good to hear that you have engaged with the Commission for Gender Equality and to also hear that you have looked into the research and the recommendations that they have made. Among the recommendations they have made, I want to zoom in on economic policy. And if you look at their reports and their research, you find that we are far from where we need to be as it pertains to economic equality in terms of gender. So based on what you have reviewed and seen, what are some of the recommendations that you have taken for economic transformation for gender equality that you will be spearheading and that you'll be championing as a department?
The Honorable Minister.
Indeed, I'm aware of the research. I think it is titled Sink or Swim. And it actually tells us that the usage of the notion of economic empowerment, especially women's economic empowerment, it would appear that its application and practice is not is not only complicated, but remains an elusive policy goal. And that we've taken from them. And that is why in my earlier question, I actually articulated what we are going to do as the department in terms of projects, in terms of strategy, in terms of legislation, but of course, in terms of our mandate. There is a lot of research that I've found, in fact, I found out about there, and it has got, all of it has got recommendations. So yes, indeed, we'll be working through that and we'll be converting those into our work where we can, but also those recommendations influencing our policies going forward, including issues related to economy. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The second supplementary question will be asked by Honorable Shabangu.
Thank you, House Chair. Honorable Minister, gender mainstreaming requires all social partners to take measures of institutionalizing policies in their organization and in practice to ensure equitable access for women, redress for women, and implement empowerment policy intervention, such as gender quotas and set aside. How is the minister ensuring a government-wide gender mainstreaming by existing organizations in the Republic, whether private sector, political parties, civil societies, businesses, and other social institutions? I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Shabangu, for the question. We agree together with yourself that gender mainstreaming does require all social partners, as you have mentioned them, and these are supposed to act collectively. Also, they're supposed to act cohesively so that they make sure that institutionalization and the approach of mainstreaming is actually happening. This will actually assist us to empower women as well as ensure gender equality that has to be seen going into policies or included in our policy programs, practices, and in our organizations. Towards this, we're taking several measures to ensure that there's gender mainstreaming. We're fast-tracking the finalization of draft legislation with legal and regulatory measures to enforce gender mainstreaming across state entities. But also, we have a policy of 2000, which is known as National Policy Framework for Women's Empowerment and Gender Equality. We are reviewing this first. We said we have got to evaluate its impact, and then with the aim of reviewing it. But we are also looking at strat plans and medium-term development plans for different departments, and of course the sectors outside. And we're ensuring that they are gender mainstreamed, and we look at those, and where they are not, we communicate. We work together with the Department of Planning and Monitoring, but of course we're working together with the cluster of DGs in ensuring that the mainstreaming happens. And therefore, yes, we agree with you, Honorable Member, that we do need to mainstream and also to work with other sectors, including the civil society. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The third supplementary question will be asked by Honorable Spies.
Thank you, House Chair. Minister, can you please enlighten us how your department will ensure that the Commission's recommendations on gender equality are integrated into national policies and programs, particularly in areas such as education, healthcare, and economic empowerment? What mechanisms will your department establish to monitor the implementation of the national gender policy at the provincial and local levels? And once again, Minister, in particular in rural areas where resources and capacity may be limited, as one size does not fit all. I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister.
We do monitoring through receiving report, but also monitoring those reports. In fact, going through those reports and evaluating them, whether they include gender equality. But also we do that by going to these sectors and ensure that things are happening. We do it through research as well that we conduct. We do it through entities like we have said. We have got other bodies such as Chapter 9 institutions, the Public Protector, or for instance, the question was asked, the CGE also, the question was asked, and the research that they conduct. That assists us to get the report and to know exactly as to what is happening anywhere. And on the basis of that, we look at policies if they've got to be strengthened or amended, including the legislation that is there. But of course, our responsibility and mandate is that of advocating, is that of mainstreaming, is that of monitoring and evaluation. We use those strategies, we use that in order to get all the information. This goes for rural areas as well. And I'm happy that you actually, Honorable Member, have passion for rural areas. I also do. We go to rural areas to see for ourselves, because sometimes the information that we get is not as reliable because resources are not readily available in rural areas. But of course, like I say, for us to do that, to go there, to go to Pongolo and see those children that are not registered, that do not have document because of some social ills that are happening there, we need resources. In the absence, we have a problem. We want to go to Eastern Cape and see for ourselves what is happening there with women that sleep in mountains and ensure that they are able to sleep in their houses and involve everybody. But for us to do that, we do require some resources. And that is why we say this repeatedly. However, we thank you again for the question. Thank you.
Thank you. The last supplementary question will be asked by Honorable MP Kobe.
Galabra House Chair, Honorable Minister, about 3 weeks ago, the Portfolio Committee for Public Works and Infrastructure was invited to the Women in Construction Awards, where we got to see a great deal of commendable work that is done by women in construction. However, with my engagements with them, they lamented that the department has quite a few cumbersome processes in terms of procurement, where it does not allow for a broader base of women to participate fully with these economic opportunities. And as a consequence, this industry remains largely untransformed. untransformed, and this goes against the very key priorities outlined in the National Gender Framework. Now, as a department, what are you doing to address these exact concerns and ensure improved gender representation, especially in industries like these?
The Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much. In the earlier question that I responded to, I highlighted policies that we are busy with to empower women, including to ensure that the finance institutions are able to finance women. That's the first one. But also to remove quite a number of red tapes that are there. I'm aware of the fact that most often than not, when women are subcontractors, they are left in the hands of the main contractors. And we are actually saying departments should not, or even state-owned companies for that matter, must not leave it in the hands of the main contractor to pay or not pay a woman who might be a subcontractor. I'm talking about that. And we have had that corrected in some of the state-owned companies, but of course in others, maybe there are still problems. So we already have models that we can copy from that are working. But one thing for sure that I know about SAWIC is that there is some improvement. They are able now to get some work. They are talking about the challenges at a secondary level as and when they do the work. Of course, we don't want to see them remaining at lower grades of, in terms of companies, but others have actually grown in terms of grades. That happens both in construction, road construction, human settlement, and so on. And there is a lot of improvement that is already happening. Working together, I believe that we can improve and remove the red tapes that you are talking about. And I'm happy that each time you meet them, they will tell you about the problems that they're experiencing at a secondary level, but they are there already now, and that is something to celebrate. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Members, question number 182 has been asked by the Honorable S.G. Velakazi to the Minister in the Presidency. The question is whether the Media Development and Diversity Agency has forecasted how many community radio stations will close soon. The Honorable Deputy Minister.
Well, thank you very much, House Chair. I hope I'm audible enough this time around.
Order on the order. Order, honorable members.
Am I audible enough,
Order.
Chairperson?
Order, honorable members. Order. The Honorable Deputy Minister.
Am I audible enough, Chairperson?
I can hear you.
Okay. Thank you very much. The Media Development and Diversity Agency has not forecasted community radio station closures. Based on previous experiences, more than 40 community radio stations have either shut down
Honorable Deputy
or have
Minister.
faced the threat of closure.
Honorable Deputy Minister.
Chairperson?
Let me just take a point of order here. Honorable members, if you make a noise, I won't even hear what your honorable member is going to say. Don't shout at me, please. I want to hear your whip, please.
Chair, earlier on, the speaker has to defer a question because of the problem. We didn't hear what the Deputy Minister was saying. So now we're experiencing the same thing. So,
Order, honorable members. Order.
so Chair, we can't.
Honorable members.
Arrangements.
Honorable members. Let's give the member on the floor an opportunity and I'll make a determination.
Yeah, call the bounds on these ones. Yeah, Chair, I'm making a point that earlier on, the speaker has to defer a certain question because of the problem that you are experiencing with the Deputy Minister. So he's coming back with the same tendency. We don't hear him. Please let us not proceed.
Honorable member, I'm going to allow the Honorable Deputy Minister to respond. And if I hear that it's not audible, then I will make a ruling in that regard. The Honorable Deputy Minister.
No, thank you very much for your protection, House Chairperson. Based on previous experience, more than 40 community radio stations have either shut down or have faced the threat of closure. This was primarily due to regulatory and licensing issues, such as failing to meet the requirements set by the Independent Communications Authority of South Africa, ICASA, financial struggles including crippling debt and lack of sustainable funding. A large number of radio stations have had the difficulties renewing their licenses, while others were unable to maintain operational costs or pay transmission fees to service providers like Centec. There have also been isolated cases of stations closing or not broadcasting frequently as per their license conditions because of technical and infrastructure challenges, with poor signal coverage and infrastructure being the drivers and the lack of technical expertise. Community media plays a vital role in providing local, independent, and diverse perspectives on issues that matter to a community, and given the unique challenges faced by community radio stations and community media more broadly, interventions by the MDDA to support sustainability have included one, addressing issues of limited funding, technological gaps, and community engagement. During the period 2021-2022 to 2022-2024, 2023-2024, a total number of 55 community and small commercial media projects have received digital support from the agency. This digital support includes both training, mentorship, and assistance with creating an online presence. The agency also continues to offer financial support, which includes assistance with technical equipment, such as broadcasting studios to enhance broadcasting quality of the community media. In the 2024-2025 financial year, the MDDA will fund 22 community broadcast projects and 6 community and small commercial print and digital media projects. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Minister. I've been informed that the Honorable TK Bodlani will take charge of the first question on behalf of the Honorable SG Velakazi in accordance with Rule 137, Sub-Rule 10, Sub-Rule A. I now recognize the Honorable Bodlani.
Thank you, House Chairperson. House Chairperson, as alluded to by the Deputy Minister, we have seen a lot of radio stations closing, mainly because of their failure to afford ICASA and center costs. What we have seen in the past is that the department has focused on quantity over quality. The question to the Minister is that, with the increasing digital development of the media, how does the MDDA plan to support community radio stations and print publications to meet the market changes? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. The Honorable Deputy Minister.
Well, Chairperson, in the first instance, that we are hard at work in ensuring that there's amendment of the Electronic Communication Act to empower our community media to be more reliant on revenue, on sustainability. We've also commissioned a research on sustainability of community media. And we've identified gaps with respect to the ability of these community media to be able to sustain themselves. Chief amongst which is the inability to continue to generate their own revenue. Two, we've also discovered that there's no local government support for community and small commercial media. We also, Chairperson, are in discussions with Centec on the funding modalities and ensuring that these community media continues to be sustainable. I thank you.
Thank you. The next supplementary question will be asked by the Honorable Piri.
Chair, can I take the question for Honorable Piri, please?
Please proceed.
Thank you very much, Chair. DM, thank you for your comprehensive responses. Noting your earlier input on closure of some local community stations, can you please share with the House from the support the agency is allocating to these stations, what is the target number of radio stations that you think you will be able to reach? What is the listenership that the agency seeks for these radio stations to reach in order to continue to be transmitters of information and development in local communities for the training of young creative artists? Thank you, House Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The Honorable Deputy Minister.
Well, House Chairperson, the MDDA intends to support community and small commercial media, about 22 projects this financial year. We intend to do so because community media promote indigenous languages. Community media are catalysts of social cohesion. And their listenership are, and the demographics thereof are community members in small communities, in rural communities, who continue to receive information that is imparted through community media. I thank you.
The third supplementary question will be asked by the Honorable Ndlela.
Honorable Minister,
I want to state that we categorically lament and oppose the forecasted closure of community radio stations, because these are the same radio stations that, in effect, service the poorest of our people. And let's not forget that it also forms as the only source of information on what government programs are being implemented, including the specific projects. Now, we've also been informed by yourself, as you just mentioned, that there is a funding model that you're working on, this new funding model. We want to know, how is this new funding model going to assist these new radio stations and these new stations effectively? And most importantly, can you please articulate the details thereof of this funding model? Thanks.
The Honorable Deputy Minister.
Well, in the first instance, you know that MDDA is an entity of GCIS. The Minister and I have instructed GCIS to work on a model and a policy of media buying, which has been absent at GCIS, so that we can support community media. We've also said one of the things that we must do is to ensure that there is 30% set aside for advert spend for community media to continue to support community media to generate their own revenue. I thank you.
The last supplementary question is to be asked by the Honorable Letlape.
Thank you, House Chair. Deputy Minister, we know that the closure of community radio stations constitutes the violation of right to access to information. And by now having a funding model, we now want to know what are the financial measures to ensure that the critical challenges that are still faced by community radio stations can be stopped before they can make sure that, or retention strategies that are there to ensure that radio stations do not end up closing down due to the fact that the advertising, marketing strategies are not there to make sure that the radio stations are able to sustain themselves. What are the financial measures that you have put in place and these strategies of advertising and marketing to ensure that these radio stations are able to sustain themselves? Thank you.
The Honorable Deputy Minister.
As I've said, Chairperson, we are engaging Centec on their transmission fees and on making sure that this community media do not close, or community radio stations in particular do not close because they are unable to pay transmission fees from Centec. Equally, we are engaging ICASA on their licensing regulations. As I've said, that we're also working on the amendment of the Electoral Communication Act, Electronic Communication Act, to empower these community media to be more reliable, more reliant, and so that they can generate their own income. I thank you.
Honorable members, question number 197 has been asked by the Honorable M.M. Kasa to the Minister of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation. And the question is about the extent to which the department supports municipalities that fail to meet community service delivery needs and lack financial and human resources. The Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, House Chairperson. As DPME, we're the overall coordinating platform for local government management implementation model. This is, of course, a web-based tool that we use to assess municipal practices based on the 6 municipal services that are being implemented in different municipalities. Now, how do we then now ensure that we do support municipalities to be able to ensure that service delivery is implemented where it is necessary? We do that by making sure that we improve the management practices of municipalities by coming up with improvement plans that we monitor timelessly and periodically to ensure that those interventions that are needed are actually done effectively. We are also coordinating sector departments to ensure that if there is any other intervention that may be needed, we would then now be able to assist municipalities working with relevant institutions to ensure that service delivery, as I've already said, is done as it's supposed to be done. So that's what we actually do as the department to ensure that we assist municipalities to stick to their fiduciary responsibilities in finance, as well as making sure that service delivery is done.
Honorable members, I've been informed that the Honorable H.D. Selepe will take charge of the first question on behalf of the Honorable member that asked it. The Honorable Selepe.
Thank you, Chairperson. Given a department local government management improvement model, in the context of its mandate to facilitate implementation of National Development Plan, the NDP, to what an extent does her department support municipalities that are not responsive to the service delivery needs of communities and lack financial and human capacity to the extent that money is sent back to the National Treasury?
The Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Chairperson. As I've already said, we do establish or develop improvement plans that we share with municipalities. And to some extent, if there's a need, we would then now share with provincial departments that are relevant to assisting those municipalities to meet those fiduciary responsibilities. We then now monitor implementation of those particular plans, and we would then now come up with reports that would have come from evaluation of the impact of whatever intervention that may have been put in place. So that's how we are actually ensuring that we do our part in terms of this particular model.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The second supplementary question will be asked by the Honorable Gweba.
Thank you very much, House Chair. And thank you very much, Honorable Minister. What role will the Department of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation play in the second phase of Operation Vulindlela, focusing on reforming the local government system, improving the delivery of basic services, harnessing the digital public infrastructure as a driver of growth and inclusion, supporting the DDM champions to mainstream impactful interventions? Thank you very much, House Chair.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. What we have actually been able to do is that we do coordinate the implementation and the monitoring of the one plans that are actually supposed to be assisting different municipalities and government as a whole to be able to do what needs to be done. We have recently, through the NPC, the National Planning Commission, done an advisory that is going to assist us to then now be able to come up with master plans that would then now allow us to measure if there's improvement in terms of service delivery that is needed, most especially because the one plans that are in place are not necessarily able to deal with the issues that they were meant to actually do. Therefore, the coordination part of it and the measurement of whether they are being successful or not hasn't been done adequately. But the framework that we have developed that is going to assist us with this master plan will then now allow us to measure and also be able to ensure that all the things that are necessary and are supposed to go to the communities are done effectively. If they are not done effectively, we will then now coordinate with relevant institutions, as I've already said, to make sure that intervention is made adequately.
The third supplementary question will be asked by the Honorable Bergman.
Thank you very much. Minister, the administration in the Tshwane Metro has made great strides in recovering from maladministration and has recently won awards from the Auditor General. Yet the Premier and his team are trying to unseat it. How does the Minister propose to engage with premiers and mayors who are more concerned with positions and personal benefits than achieving the KPIs of the NDP? Thank you very much.
The Honorable Minister.
It is not in our capacity to deal with allegations. Therefore, what we will then now just suggest is that if there's any of those kind of complaints, please register them with relevant institutions so that they can attend to them adequately. Thank you.
The last supplementary question will be asked by the Honorable R. Moshlala.
No, thanks so much, House Chair. Minister, the Financial Sector Conduct Authority has released numerous reports highlighting the non-compliance in local government municipalities with the statutory obligation to pay towards the pension, health, and provident fund benefits of municipal employees. This means that municipalities are not only failing with external service delivery mandates, but are also failing with internal financial control mechanism. In your view, Minister, is the failure by municipalities to pay workers' pension a challenge that relates to lack of financial or human capacity to deduct funds from workers' salaries and pay them to the municipal employees' pension funds, wherein your department must intervene? Or is it a challenge of corruption? Thank you, Minister.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. The Auditor General, not the Auditor, the Accountant General has recently done a survey and an evaluation of the capacity of CFOs in municipalities in order to come up with effective measures to assist different municipalities to be able to do their responsibilities adequately in a legal way. We have then now find out that there are municipalities, of course, where capacity is not necessarily where it's supposed to be. And as a result, intervention from the Department of COGTA has been put in place together with Treasury to assist those municipalities to be able to do what they need to do. But overall, we've also found out that maybe we need to come up with an assessment of different municipalities as it relates to their financial responsibility, so that we can then now be able to know that when there are challenges such as those ones, what is the framework that can be implemented all over without having to really come up with different intervention for each municipality. So that framework together, working together with different institutions and different departments is being developed, and we will make sure that whatever it is that needs to be done will be monitored so that interventions that are put in place can be able to be accounted for.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable members, question number 169 has been asked by the Honorable S. Tambo to the Minister of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation. The question is whether the Minister has found that the National Development Plan was a misdirected document which misdiagnosed and mischaracterized the problems facing the Republic. The Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. The NDP, the National Development Plan, is a lodestar of our country and our nation as it relates to policy. However, I've realized that sometimes people do believe that the National Development Plan is actually a responsibility of government. The National Development Plan is actually a responsibility of government, yes, but also of the businesses as well as society as a whole. Now, I do believe that there has not necessarily been improvement in many instances where different stakeholders have then now been able to do what they needed to do. And as a result, it is for this reason that when we do our reviews as the NPC, like the 10-year review that we just did, we do them with recommendation to say that what needs to be done in terms of making sure that we come up with social compact that will allow the entire nation, all stakeholders, to come together to make sure that the NDP is actually being implemented adequately. But just to say this, the NDP, as you may remember, was adopted in this House in 2012. In 2015, the SDGs were also adopted later on. If you look at the NDP, you will then now see that the SDGs actually have 11 of our own targets and our own outcomes and priorities of the NDP in their own system. So it just shows that the NDP's targets and their priorities are actually of high level, and if implemented adequately by everyone, with partnerships with social compact, we will then now be able to see the South Africa that we want to live in by 2030.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable members, I've been informed that the Honorable S. Tembekwayo will take charge of the first question. On behalf of the Honorable S. Tambo, in accordance with Rule 137, Sub-Rule 10, Paragraph A. The Honorable Member.
Thank you, Chair. Minister, part of the key priorities of the NDP is to rebuild state capacity. Over the past decade, there has been a deliberate collapse of state capacity, and there has been an introduction of the concept of public-private partnership in critical areas such as aviation, defense, water provision, energy and railway infrastructure, which have eroded and encroached on state capacity? Is there a genuine intention to improve state capacity by 2030? Or has the agenda of defunding and privatizing state functions replaced the NDP priorities? I thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
It is a global practice to actually have triple Ps to ensure that whatever it is that we do as government is done adequately. In some instances, there may be capital injection, and in some instances, there may be partnership as it relates to management of certain institutions in order to ensure that we enhance capacity of the state and whatever it is that we need to do. In my view, triple Ps have actually assisted a government to be able to reach some of the responsibilities that they needed to actually reach. Obviously, they have to be done in a landscape where there will be accountability, but the developmental agenda of the state is not eroded as a result. Therefore, whatever it is that we put in place, whether in policy, whether in partnership, should then now take in cognizance the fact that the state remains the ones that are responsible for the development agenda. That should then now assist us to be able to do our responsibility as it relates to all the other policies that we may have been able to put in place. So I don't believe that there is failure in any way or replacement of state capacity, but it is the enhancement of state capacity. As I've already said, we have to ensure that when we put targets and priorities in place, such as in the NDP, it is the responsibility of everyone, including private sector, in a controlled way and legal way, to ensure that whatever it is that we need to do is done in the way that it will be able to reach the agenda that we have set out for ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you. The second supplementary question will be asked by the Honorable S.I. Subrati.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Minister, the 30-year review highlights significant progress that has been made by the democratic government in increasing access to basic services, in creating equitable access to opportunities, and in empowering the previously disadvantaged in political, in social, and economic life. My question is, how will the medium-term development plan of the Government of National Unity, the GNU, address the structural factors in the political economy which are resulting in a crisis in poverty, in unemployment, and in inequality? Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Chairperson. If you can look at the three priorities that are outlined in the MTDP, they are mainly based on economic development, and economic development that would be inclusive in nature. As a result, the MTDP itself, if you look at it, it is actually giving a framework where departments should then now come up with APPs that would speak to inclusive growth, but also inclusive development, so that when we talk about issues that the Honorable Minister has spoken about, we are then now able to come up with injection that would be necessary to make a difference where it's needed. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The last supplementary question will be asked by the Honorable Shongwe.
It is common that the NDP has missed all its 2020 projected targets, including economic growth, employment and poverty eradication, and many others. And indeed, it continues to be an obsolete document, despite government rhetoric about the review of the NDP. The recent employment figures from State SA and various economic indicators continue to paint a gloomy picture. Is it not time for the government to focus on a massive industrialization to create jobs instead of promoting flawed plans like NDP? South Africans are tired of these meaningless plans.
The Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. If the honorable member can then now be able to understand, the NDP is a lodestar, as I said. It's supposed to give guidance where all plans of government, not only of government, as I've already said, or as well as plans of private sector and everybody should actually draw their direction from. If there is an ability of all stakeholders to actually follow and plan their own policies and intervention based on the targets of the NDP, I really do believe that South Africa would then now be able to reach all those plans that have been put in, because those are targets that are supposed to be a lodestar to direct us in understanding exactly what needs to be done based on the research that has been done and based on the implementation that then now should be able to assist us to measure if there's improvement or not. If we don't have a sounding board like the NDP and the NPC, which is a commission, we would then now not be able to know if we are moving forward or not. We would continue to operate in silos, and then at the end of the day, the impact that is needed to change the lives of our people would not happen. So it is necessary to have a long-term plan and a long-term trajectory that would then now allow us to be able to plan within periods of 5 years for each administration, so that whenever we come to measure if we have moved from one place to another, we have a platform where we can then now be able to check. If you look at countries like China, they also have long-term plans. They also are able to come up with plans that would then now allow them to plan even for 50 years. So it is necessary that we continue to make sure that when we put policies or plans such as the NDP, it becomes something that everybody else is aligned to, so that we then now can be able to see the difference that you are talking about, like industrialization. It is important that the NDP guide us in that regard. Thank you.
The next supplementary question is to be asked by the Honorable Christie.
Thank you, Speaker. The National Development Plan is an opportunity for the GNU to build South Africa and silence the breakers. The previous NDP was a closed process, with the Commission not being as consultative and inclusive as it could have been. With 2030 fast approaching, are there plans afoot for the next medium to long-term planning session? And if so, what are the plans?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much. The NPC is actually a sounding board that advises, actually independent board, a sounding board or commission that advises cabinet, but also advises the president. Those people that are there are actually people that are drawn from different sectors of our country. They are not working for government. As a result, they work on work streams where they do make sure that they create or they produce advisories that would then now allow us to be able to know what are we doing wrong and how should it then now be able to be implemented, or maybe effectively implemented. So in this GNU, we are going to make sure that whenever advisories are actually established and are put in place, they become accessible for everyone, so that when we come up with social compacts, we then now come up with social compacts that will be drawn from the research base of people that are in the National Planning Commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable members, question number 174 has been asked by the Honorable Bergman to the Minister of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation. The question is whether her office has found that the President's decision to assign state-owned enterprise responsibilities to specific ministers has made the establishment of the national shareholder company unnecessary. If not, what is the position in this regard? And if so, what are the relevant details? The Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Chairperson. The proclamation that was issued by the President has stated that as much as state-owned enterprises have moved to their line department, it is still necessary that the holding company should still be established. And that is precisely because the research that was done and the advisories that have been put in place by different institutions still maintain that there are reforms that are necessary for our state-owned enterprises to be able to perform adequately, but also stick to their developmental mandate and commercial mandate. As a result, it becomes necessary that the shareholder model that is necessary must still be pursued. If ever maybe there is any process that needs to be reviewed, that can be done, but the need to reform our state-owned enterprises to perform adequately is still there. As a result, we need to put in place those reforms that would assist us to do the mandate that have been given by different researches and councils that were put in for a number of years. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. The first supplementary question will be asked by the Honourable Bergman.
Thank you very much. Honourable Minister, stronger oversight, more accountability to the portfolios and more independence to the boards could subvert the need for more legislation and a new super board. However, more importantly, the time has come where we need to take an unemotional decision and look at those SOEs that are crippling us or themselves through being a debt burden or not being allowed to take on strategic partners and are curtailing our fiscal capabilities. It is clear that we need to plant proverbial red flags in the ground, that once an SOE breaches those flags, whether it is due to profitability, outdated requirements, or for any other reason, that we approach the private sector or sell them off. Will the Minister be bold enough to advise such decisions to the President? And if not, why not? Thank you.
Thank you. The Honourable Minister.
My responsibility remains that we need to create and establish a system that would then now allow our state-owned enterprises to perform better. And that obviously have to allow us to have line of sight of making sure that in terms of what happens financially and in operations. And in terms of any other model that may be able to assist us to better perform and also ensure that our state-owned enterprises perform at what they are supposed to do commercially, we would then now be able to look at that. But we must always remember that whatever it is that we put in place must not forget the developmental role of the state-owned enterprises, because they remain a catalyst of the other policies that are supposed to assist us to reach some inclusivity as it relates to economic development. Yes, anything that would then now assist our state-owned enterprises to perform better, I really do believe that it needs to be looked at, even if it is in a form of partnership with private sector. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. The second supplementary question will be asked by the Honourable Kumbarka.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. Honourable Minister, the establishment of the State Asset Management SOC Limited is a welcomed development. However, critics are concerned of the majority shareholding by the state, with the fear that the public service deficiencies may still prevail in the new environment. What measures are in place or will be implemented to ensure proper governance of the State Asset Management SOC and its subsidiaries?
Honourable Minister.
Our SOCs, of course, are companies. As a result, when we make sure that we do put in place management that would allow us to be able to operate effectively, we do so looking at global standards. So as a result, when we put those management that would allow us to be able to deal with the company that you're talking about, we will do so by ensuring that we recruit the best of the best, but most of all, we put in place a model that will assist us to then now be able to run this company in a viable way, but most of all, in a way that we can then now be able to account for whatever it is that it would have been set out to do. Thank you.
The third supplementary question will be asked by the Honourable Nomvala.
Thank you very much, House Chair. Honourable Minister, on the 29th of August 2024, President Ramaphosa told this House that the concept of wanting to establish a South African sovereign fund modeled on the tarmac of Singapore or Dubai UAE sovereign fund will be funded out of the sale of state-owned enterprises. Has the DA-ANC coalition government, in line with recommendation 17 of the Presidential Review Commission report, undertaken any exercise that clearly identifies which of the state-owned enterprises provide public goods and are therefore deemed strategic or serve the national interest or national security interest and are delineated so that their operation should remain in state hands to advance the interest of a developmental state? If not, what drives the agency of establishing the single holding company? I submit.
The Honorable Minister.
The sovereignty of our state is sacrosanct. So whatever it is that we'll be doing, we will never in any way, under no circumstances, compromise that. So as a result, at least let's move from that. But second of all, there is no coalition but a GNU that comprises of 10 political parties, and we are actually
Order, honorable
doing very
members.
well.
Order.
So let me continue.
Order, honorable members. Honorable members. Honorable members. Honorable members. The minister is now replying. Let's give an opportunity. The Honorable Minister. Please proceed, Honorable Minister. Honorable members, you are now disrupting the minister in a reply. Please reply, Honorable Minister.
I still reiterate what I said because it is a fact. Obviously, the Sovereign Wealth Fund will have to assist us to be able to, and I think I'll still say it again, the developmental agenda that our state actually needs. And it becomes important that we look at different types of models that could then now be able to assist us to actually sustain that sovereign wealth fund. And SOEs, if they are performing adequately and optimally, they would then now be able to give us returns that would allow us to have a seed to be able to do what we need to do with the sovereign wealth fund. Thank you.
The last supplementary question will be asked by the Honorable Ghana.
All of the
Order, honorable members.
the deputy president is quoted as saying that this government should not be in the business of owning airlines. Do you agree with him? And if so, what are you going to do with SAA and SA Express?
The Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Chairperson. My responsibility, as I've already said, is to actually ensure that the bill that should then now be able to establish the holding company is passed by this parliament. And my responsibility remains a way that I would then now, or not me, the department would then now be able to put systems in place that will ensure that all our SOEs become successful and operate effectively. If that means that we have to then now partner, and I'll still say it again, with private sector, I really do believe that that would then now be looked at, but it will be done as per merit, not because it is a blanket approach. As a result, just allow us to establish this bill and then establish the model that would allow us to be able to do what we need to do. Because I don't think that it will, we would then now just wake up tomorrow and say, we're selling 1, 2, 3. It will have to be informed by a certain process. But at the end of the day, it becomes important that our sovereignty, as I've already said, and the developmental agenda of our country and of our state is still adhered to. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable members, the time allocated for questions has expired and outstanding replies received will be printed and answered. Order, honorable members. Honorable members, order. Honorable members, the decision of question on the motion in the name of the Honorable Mr. J.S. Malema on the order paper today will stand over in terms of Rule 99. I now request members to stand and wait for the chair and the mace to leave the chamber. That concludes the debate and the business for today. The House is adjourned.